Good evening, everyone. Sat Shri Akal Sarya. No, Dr. GagandeepKaurGulati, this side from WeavingDreams. Friends, first of all, I would wish you all a very happy Independence Day. I hope you all are safe and we are blessed to be celebrating this Independence Day today. We are proud Indians. Yes, we are proud Indians. Friends, as you all know that we are organizing a lecture series for 5 days on the theme holistic development. And today we would be talking on social skills. We have a beautiful panel today with two very eminent guests with whom we would be talking about the social skills. What are the social skills? Why are the social skills required nowadays? Because now it's a time of competition, globalization. Earlier timings, probably there was not so much of competition. The boundaries of so many countries were still not open. We didn't have so much of westernization or globalization. But now that we have to compete with so many other people, so many other countries, one thing. Second thing, when there is a time that of depression nowadays with some people because of competition, unemployment, so many other problems. Therefore, now it becomes very important to have good social skills with us. How do we penetrate into the society? How do we talk with other people? How do we communicate? How do we interact? How do we converse with other people? And what all strong skills that we need to have so that we are able to maintain our status in the society. So therefore, for talking on this particular topic, on this particular theme, we have on the show today Professor Avinash and Dr. InduGupta. They are both having versatile, believe me, a very versatile background. Professor Avinash, he has been a journalist, an academician, photographer, short story writer, political strategist. He's a sports person. All the things rolled into one. And Dr. Indu Gupta, again, she is the center head of JD Institute of Fashion Technology. Apart from that, she's a beautiful poetess also. So we really welcome both these panelists on our show. I would like to welcome Professor AvinashSingh ji on our show. Sat Shri Akal, sir, you're most welcome to the show.
Sat Shri Akal, my pleasure, please. And
Thank
happy
you for being
Independence Day to everyone.
Happy Independence Day to you, sir. Dr. Indu Gupta, good evening, Sat Shri Akal, Namaskar. You're welcome to the show.
Good evening and good evening everyone. And here is me wishing everyone a very happy Independence Day and a very heartfelt thanks to Dr. Gagandeep for having me here today. It's my pleasure to be here and sharing the virtual stage with such eminent speaker as well. So good evening, Professor Avinash.
My pleasure. Good evening and happy Independence Day, please.
Thank you, Dr. Indu, for being here. And
Thank
I
you
would
so
like
much.
to wish you a very happy birthday as well from my
Oh, wow.
side, from Sir's side, and from all the audience of WeavingDreams. Wishing you a very happy birthday. Be blessed always.
Many blissful returns, Doctor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure.
So now that we know that we would be talking about social skills today. First of all, sir, I would like to please briefly introduce yourself. And because as I just mentioned that you are an academician also, you've been a journalist also, you're a photographer as well, and you write stories, you're also a political strategist and whatnot. And you've been in corporates, and you've also been pro vice chancellor with a leading university of the Northeast. So you've got such a rich experience. So apart from that, if you would like to share something about yourself before we move on to the theme social skills.
Okay, quickly, as you said that I have been outstanding, I admit I have been very outstanding. When the class used to be inside, I was generally outside. Even in sports arena, I was outside Tunica line. So I have been very outstanding athlete for the country. I've been outstanding student because I was outside the classroom. And I request all the students not to be an outstanding person like me. Uh, I was with the Hindustan Times for first 20 years, and I have been teaching for last 22 years. Uh, each change, there have been plenty of this. Each change has been, I mean, there has been fate and chance and a story. Uh, when I was with the Hindustan Times, I had very interesting postings. To begin with, sports. I covered a number of international events, traveled across the world. Then, quirk of fate, I got into political reporting, and from there, my first posting was Northeast, that was Shillong. Uh, Hardly I had settled in Shillong. They sent me to Punjab because it was on the boil. And towards the end, I mean, that was 86 to 91. That was the time I was repeatedly sent to Jammu and Kashmir also. And then I had a posting in Bangalore. And from Bangalore, there were two occasions that I was sent to Sri Lanka. Each one, all of these were stopgap arrangements before I came back to Delhi, 7 years outside, and I was covering parliament and some central ministries. So it has been interesting. And then I got into Guru Nanak Dev University at Amritsar as professor and head. The department was shifted to Jalandhar. So it has been Pair Mein Chakkar, and from there to good number of private universities. I will say I was with Amity, then set up some new media institutes, and after media, I was heading engineering and management colleges before I finally went to University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, and from there moved to Shillong as pro vice chancellor. This was University of Technology and Management. It was a center of excellence in Northeast.
Hey, Badhiya. So you have a very rich experience and quite a bit of humor also. We would really love to know so much from you, to learn so much from you today regarding, because you've been at various positions at different places. You must have met and interacted with so many people from different cultures, different societies, different parts of the country as well. We would love to learn so much from you. And Dr. InduGupta, you have been constantly working in Delhi only, or you have also been moving prior to this, before joining Radiant City or Fashion Technology?
Primarily, I have seen Delhi since my birth. I'm a Delhi born and brought up in Delhi. Luckily, got married in Delhi, settled in Delhi. So, from the beginning, my primary place of work and schooling, college is from Delhi only. And Delhi being probably one city that has a lot of
I think there is a
features.
voice lag. There is a voice lag at your side. Okay.
Audible.
If you can just check the settings. The connection is cut. Probably in the meanwhile. So if we start with the topic in the meanwhile, when Dr. Indu is getting connected again. So if we start with the topic social skills, just earlier to this, prior to this, I was interacting with my students on this particular topic only, social skills. So what is your take on this? What exactly we mean by social skills and why are they important?
I would say the ways and means through which we stay in touch with fellow beings, interact with them, talk to them, or convey our messages to them.
Mhm.
That is social skill. It could be talking, it could be non-verbal. We may talk in sign language. We may talk through our eyes. Sometimes postures, gestures, the way we say, we would have conveyed. Like right now, if I don't want to tell you that you're looking good, if I just say this much, the message is conveyed. So, various ways and means through which we interact with fellow beings is social communication. That means socializing with people through different communication means. I'll call it as day to day skills. Some people call soft skills. I'll tell you a little bit of difference between social skill and soft skill. Not much of a difference. There's only very small area which would draw a line. But today you are at job, you are in the street, you are in college, you are in train, you are in bus, you are talking to people, you are expressing yourself. But first thing we say, communication, good communication or effective communication. What is that? I would say hitting the nail in the head is effective communication. I want to convey something, but if I'm not able to do that, that means I'm missing or I'm lacking on social skills. Apart from that, there is something which is called basic etiquettes. Now, basic etiquettes, I'll connect it with respect to my father, to my grandfather, or to somebody who is senior. I would not say to. Reason, I have to show respect. How to show respect? In English, it is difficult, but still there are words which we would not be using. I wrote my first letter to my father. So I wrote my Aziz Pitashri. And then I was told what does Aziz means. So use of words, use of right words, and then how to show respect to your elders, to your teachers, how you behave with your friends. All these are part of your social skills. While we are talking about that, what happens in day to day life? We, in man and woman relationship, we listen to half the sentence and we jump to conclusion. Most important part in social skills is listening and then reacting positively. I would say listening in full, and listening and understanding, and then reacting with positive vibes. Then you are into good social skills. Another very interesting area is we just say problem solving.
Mhm.
If people are fighting, you can actually make things, get them apart, but you have to be very impressive and emphatic in telling them that you tell me what is the problem and you can actually solve it through talking. That's also part of social skill. But if you are proud, haughty, and arrogant, can we do that? From problem solving, we say conflict resolution. Conflict is लड़ाई झगड़ा हो गया, कोर्ट में चले गए, but still there are arbitrators or there are people who will say, let's meet outside the court and we can solve this. The final word here is conflict management. A plane is hijacked, you are talking, you are the top official, you are talking to militants. You need to know how to buy time, how to make them understand. That is conflict management. So that because many lives are at stake, you need to be very subtle, you need to be tactful. All this is part of our social
Social.
skills if we can do that. I would
So now
say
we'll come to now.
two points more. Just
Yeah.
2 points. I'll say relationship building and networking, relationship management, and last part I would say empathy. We generally show our sympathies, but if we say empathy, we would be talking in details about all these points. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining all these points so nicely with your rich experience. Because what you have been telling us, we probably have just theoretical knowledge, but you've been in corporates and you've been in the field as well as a journalist. So that just really increases, widens the arena. Dr. Indu, I hope you can hear us now. And
Yes, I can hear that. Is my voice audible now?
yeah, it's audible. There's a little lag, but you are quite audible. Hanji, we were talking about you. So you are working presently as a center head for the very prestigious Delhi Institute of Fashion Technology. And you've been there. You are a Delhiite, as you just mentioned. You are from Delhi itself, and presently still you are in Delhi only, right? Again, there is a problem. I think there's a network
Yes,
problem
I
today.
belongs to Delhi, and I think a lot of online sessions happening because of this COVID, and a lot of places have this internet issue. Is it properly audible now?
If
It
you
is.
continue, yes, there is break in between, but I think we can manage if you continue, please.
Sure, sir. So, pleasure to be here, and very heartful thanks to Dr. Gagandeep for having me here today. And talking a bit about my background, I, yes, belong to Delhi, and Delhi is my hometown. I would say that. And talking about where I belong to I have
I think, Dr. Indu, if we can request you to log in from a different device, if that is possible, to log in from a different laptop or the phone, probably then
all
that
right,
can be more
I'll
easier.
try doing that.
Yeah. है ना? So, in the meanwhile, if we continue, sir, you've really mentioned very valid points till now for how what all exactly are the social skills. Now, for example, if we go one by one, one of the very important social skills is to maintain an eye contact with the other person with whom we are communicating.
Yes,
So,
please.
how important you feel that is? One thing that shows that we are being very honest, because once we have the eye contact with the other person, honesty shows. Apart from that, why do we think? Because you may have met so many people who may have been victims also, because you being a journalist must have met so many people, or maybe culprits also. So, what exactly is the difference of having a good eye contact or not having an eye contact with the other person with whom we are communicating?
I'll start with something. We had a teacher who was
Mhm.
very good teacher, but he was always looking towards the fan or looking towards the roof. Half
Okay.
of the time we were not able to understand as to what he was trying to convey. I'm talking to you, but it is like filmy dialogue that I look this way and I'm talking to you. That means when we say in interpersonal, one and one, I'm talking, you are nodding. Then there is a small group which is class. How many times we look at certain people, we see them nodding, and we could always see if somebody is dozing off and yawning. The moment a student is yawning, please remember you are boring. That's why a student has got time to yawn. If you are in touch with them through eye contact, that is very, very close. It's current. You are communicating directly here thanks to the eyes. And if somebody is not visible and you are not visible, that somebody may not be interested. We get the feedback when we have people looking at you and the respondent is also nodding or asking a question. And if I know I'm addressing to an audience which is invisible to me, it is purely up to you, Dr. Gulati, whether you want to listen to me or whether you don't. Right now, what we are doing, you asked a question, I'm responding to that. And I'm talking, we are looking at each other. It is one to one talk. One to many could also, but in terms of mass communication, when you are on television, unless you can keep your audience intact, if somebody is looking headwards, looking down, and still making a comment, people would say that you are not interested in conveying, or at least I'm not interested in listening to that. This is a very good connection. Dr. Indu has come. Let's see what else we want her to be there.
Dr. Indu, can you speak something so that we can just check if I think still there. I think she needs some time to settle.
Yeah. But this time the picture was better, the
Better,
connection may
probably
be
she
better.
has connected from
Yes,
different
please.
devices. So we were talking on eye contact. So how important? So now you just mentioned that it's important. For example, it's a teacher. The teacher should be able to maintain an eye contact so that the student does not get bored. Because the moment a student's body language shows us that if the student is really listening to us or not, because it's not one, but there are 60 students sitting in the class.
See, in group communication, feedback is important. If you are active and you are not looking at only one particular person because you like him or her, you are looking towards the class. You are on a stage addressing the audience. But if you are not looking at the audience and you are just talking to the mic, the feedback would be down. The feedback would be you cannot say instant feedback is there. In any group communication, the feedback is from nodding, feedback is from people reacting to what you are saying. They may discuss right or left, but if you say that you listen to me carefully, and if you have any question, you can interrupt me, that means you are actually exhorting people to talk to you. So, one to many is a difficult task, but group communication is very successful. One, you have an eye contact, you have very expressive communication skills, and at the same time, you are also active. You are bothered about the backbenchers, you are bothered about everyone in a group. That means you point out you with green shirt, you with such and such red chunni. That means you are active in the class while conveying them a message. You are aware of their body language. And in between, if you keep pinpricking, I mean, just pointing them out, that means they are still interacting with you and they would interact nicely.
Dr. Indu, please unmute yourself. Very hopeful that
I hope it works now. Am I audible now?
Yes.
perfect. There's an echo
Perfect.
in the voice, I believe. We can switch off the other device.
Yeah, okay, one sec.
So now, as you just mentioned, that apart from eye contact, now there are two words: being assertive and aggressive. Now, for example, I am speaking something, or you were just sharing your knowledge with us. Now, if we are discussing something, I want to put forward my words, my perception, my thoughts. Therefore, and I really want the other person to stand by, to accept what I am trying to say, to accept my perception. At the same time, it's also there that I may be wrong, I may be right. I may not be able to convince the other person, but I then what happens? The discussion turns into an argument and I become aggressive. So, where to exactly draw the borderline from being assertive to being aggressive so that there is no conflict as a word you use, conflict.
Good. Just before we talk about conflict, I want to give 2 points. If we want group communication to be successful or one-to-one communication also, we need to be brief, crisp, to the point.
Mhm.
If to your one question I speak for 8, 9 minutes, halfway you would be lost. That's one. Second part is confidence and knowledge. If you are confident and you have knowledge of the subject, you would definitely be able to push home your point. Once that is pushed home, I'll simply say Dr. Indu is into fashion. It's communication. A hut would communicate you something. A well-dressed person would communicate something. And uh, Sushmita Sen or Aishwarya Rai or Manpreet Barad would always convey you something when they are walking on the ramp, when they are talking to you. So, non-verbal also, but communication has to be there, which is conveying. It reflects. When I say Jugi would also reflect, it would reflect your poverty. It would Our roads would reflect something. Our buildings reflect something. So I'm very clear. When you are uh, into any communication, it has to be very clear worded, or if it is non-verbal, even then it should convey, and it is up to me. If I have got perception, I'll understand. The moment you talked about conflict management, actually, first thing, you need to have 3 P's: patience, patience, and patience. Patience to listen to both the parties, then will to convince the two that I am not with Dr. Gulati and I am not related to Dr. InduGupta also. I'm talking to both. That means you need first to listen, to convince them that you are both equidistant. If I'm able to instill that confidence, both the parties would be ready to listen to you. So, when we say the first part of conflict management is you need to be a very good listener, you need to be understanding, you need to have no preconceived notions. If we always go, oh, he is a boon, that means my mind is already polluted. I'm carrying something against a particular person, and that is where the problem starts.
The halo effect, probably you are talking about. For example, I have to meet someone, I've already made a perception of that particular thing, or a particular person, even before meeting that person. And that halo effect may have come from my friends or my colleagues. Someone may have told me about that. It's quite possible. Dr. Indu, if I come to you for this, you are again dealing with the youth only, as Sir has been teaching in the teaching line, and Sir has been busy also. You are also dealing with the youth. So, to what extent do you think, as you just mentioned, about the listening part, do you really think the youth nowadays have this skill of active listening?
Uh, I feel yes, because that is a part of my day-to-day job dealing with these kids of today's generation, the millennials, especially as we call them. And the thing that I observe is that the listening skills are kind of becoming obsolete day by day as we move ahead with time. The way the current generation probably approaches a particular issue or a particular problem or a doubt or a query that they have, they always would approach someone with a very preconceived notion in their mind or an assumption in their mind that whatever they are saying is the bottom line. So there is no scope of discussion out there, or no scope of an other way around, probably, other than what their viewpoint is. So that I feel is happening nowadays quite a lot. So probably lack of listening skills is one factor that contributes to this. So if you listen to the other person, what the other person is saying, it might be a better option, or maybe a more feasible option, maybe a more practical option to work upon. So that listening skills actually is very, very important, of course, from the student point of view, but then in any kind of relationship, be it a personal one, be it a professional one, the listening skills for any kind of situation is very, very important. And what I feel is that nature has blessed us with 2 ears and one mouth. So let's use those two things proportionately, in the same proportion. So we speak less and we listen more, like double the amount that we speak, we listen more. So probably half the things, half the situations will be very, very easily resolved.
So that means what you are trying to say is we are also learning when we are listening. Rather, we should be learning. Why
Absolutely.
not? We should be trying to
Absolutely.
gain knowledge and information. We should always be knowledge hungry. But in your profession, because all these people are, the students of yours are into drawing or painting or cutting or changing aspects. So those they require a lot of focus. Don't you think that they should have, then maybe a normal yours is an artist is dealing with patient versus dealing with colors and the textile and so on.
Yes, that's the primary arena I am dealing with, and usage of all these materials, all these elements is somehow part of the communication. The way Professor Avinash also put it, that it communicates the way you dress up or the way you walk on the ramp. Every small thing definitely communicates about you as a personality. So that communication is a very, very important part of the social skills that has to be there. And what is happening probably in the current situation, that the moment we speak of social skills, somehow this social media creeps into the picture. So that is what the kids of today's generation consider as social relationships. So if I talk about today's day, it, as you very nicely wished me also a very happy birthday, I received, I think, like hundreds of messages. Yes, lots of them from my students, of course, and near and dear ones. But conveying a message, I'm very, very thankful for that, for receiving so many messages. But conveying a message or probably making a call, there is a lot of difference between there. That personal touch which is there, that is somehow going out of the way, out of the picture altogether. So if we drop a message and we are done with that, so that is what is happening, which what I personally feel may not be the very right direction to water our relationships altogether. So we have to invest into our relationships on a very everyday basis to be able to have that feeling of being a social animal. We cannot live alone in isolation. So being a social animal, we require people to be around. And yes, this field of fashion, textiles is a very, very effective way to develop the communication skills as well, and thereby developing the social skills which are required to have like very fulfilling relationships altogether, be it a personal or a professional relationship. That's what I feel.
And next point coming to you, so if we talk about flexibility and cooperation, to what extent you feel that we need to be more flexible or more cooperative as a team? because this is what generally the organizations are lagging in the newcomers that they are hiring, because we are having campus placements from our college also, and the companies normally tell us whenever they give a live project to the students as an intern, what they find is that their students are lagging somewhere in the teamwork, in cooperation. So, why is that happening, and why is it so important to be more flexible and not to be a stubborn? So, I hope you can hear me. You need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Haji.
Now I think it's. Can you repeat the question? I was not able. You're not audible clearly. Say it again in brief, please. Sorry.
Okay, and now I'm talking about, no problem. I'm talking about flexibility and cooperation, because nowadays the campus placements are taking place, and the students prior to that they are sent as an intern to the various companies for the live projects. So, for example, a student is also sent to, for example, Big Bazaar, like a big departmental store for the live project, like he's put for marketing purpose for a week or so, or if it's in HR department, then they are told to work there as an intern for a couple of months. But what they are telling us that the students, some of them are lacking the team spirit, the flexibility. They are more stubborn. They are not actually willing to perform so effectively as they are expected to be. So, why is it happening that they are not flexible anymore? They are not cooperative. And why is this required to have as a social skill? Flexibility and cooperation.
Uh, First thing I said, you know, three P's they need to learn. That is patience, patience, and patience. Dr. Indu very clearly pointed out they are short on fuse. They do not want to listen. They have prefixed ideas in mind, and they are looking, yes, I want to do this. I'm very clear, as teachers, we need to do some hard training, that is professional training, to make them understand that etiquette means you listen, you uh, kind of deliberate, and then you react. When you react, today we see on social media, Dr. InduGupta pointed out, on social media there is one person who would just put a line, and there'll be 50 in next 1 minute to troll him or her. And that is what is happening, because we have fixed notion, and you made a point, we need to be flexible. That is part of our professional training, that we tell them, look, when you go to the market, when you go to a job, when you go to big bazaar, I'll give you a better example. Any student, I'm a counselor, any student coming to me, I want to be a cabin crew, male or female, I'll say, okay, you want to listen to good points, or you want to listen to negatives first. Okay, good points. Good points is an MBA may start at 18,000, but you would be starting at 1 lakh and 28,000 or 1 lakh 18,000. Maybe you get more if you are flying. That is, you have come 1.5 or 2 years after your 12th, but you straight away earn more. That is the positive point. The negative is, never forget, you are a waiter or a waitress, only thing, you are in the air. You're serving people. Even if a drop falls on any passenger, they think they have a right to kind of insult you. And you are trained into what? Repeatedly take insults and says, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am. No, no, I didn't intend. Even if I'm shouting at you, your reply has to be very positive. Ma'am, this is part of training. When students are going to Big Bazaar, when students get small jobs in any place, at
This is
any
what
place,
we can.
yeah. Suppose you have got into McDonald's. One day you are facing the customer. Next day, you are doing something in the kitchen. Third day, you may be cleaning the floor. One day, you may be cleaning the toilets also. They are making you, first thing is, they are actually making you flexible by making you learn all the tricks, and so that you can take occasional, I'm not using the word insults, but you should be able to take and still respond in such a manner that frayed tempers should come down, and that is where you are scoring. They are not scoring. In fact, when I lose my head, when somebody is losing cool, you are actually punishing yourself. And if you can take that, and if you can deflate somebody who has got more air about her or himself, if you can deflate and bring it down to room temperature, thaw, if you can bring the thaw, that means who is scoring? You are scoring. That is what we need as teachers, to make, to take care of each student, and each student has to be trained the way he or she, they have got a particular style. So we need to make them unlearn and relearn. That is the basic point, which I wanted to convey, please.
Correct. Unlearn, relearn, and the basic etiquettes and the manners that you just mentioned. These are the various things that we expect from the youth. Please, thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry. These are the 4 5 words that we have learned since we were children. And but now, Dr. Indu, do you think that these are lagging in the school?
But these are lagging.
Saying thank you or excuse me or even I'm sorry.
I'm so
Saying
sorry.
thank you or excuse me or even I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I just lost you for a couple of seconds
Uh, these
and
are the
didn't
words
get
that I'm
that.
talking about. Please, thank you, excuse me, I'm
These
sorry.
are the words that I'm
These
talking
are the
about.
words that are sort
Thank
of
you.
inbuilt since we
These
were
are the words
children.
that
We
are sort
learn
of
them at our
inbuilt.
own.
Since we were children, we learn them at our own.
Nowadays, do you think that youth
Nowadays,
are lagging in
do you
this?
think that youth
Or
are
they're very
lagging
open
in
to say
this?
sorry whenever they
Or they're very open to say sorry whenever
mistake or something?
mistake or something? Yes, and I think we as elders, as mentors, as parents have been training our children, our own children, or maybe our dear students as well, to use these words very, very frequently. And I'm really happy and appreciate that these students are following that. The only thing probably is what is happening is that they do follow in terms of saying it, maybe using it very frequently, but following it up in terms of actually meaning it, is that happening or not? Because you accidentally touch someone, you brush against someone, the instant reaction with everyone is, oh, sorry. But where actually the word sorry is supposed to be used in real time situations wherein probably you've actually done something wrong, there probably the ego would come into the picture. Why should I say sorry? you know that, because unintentional things, it's a very spontaneous response that is coming. But when it's the situation actually requires, if the sorry or thank you or please, whatever the golden words as we say, it is being used, then we become successful as mentors or as elders. So
So you mean
I
to
do
say
feel,
as I just said,
as I
it's
just
sort
said,
of
it's sort of
inbuilt. Whenever, even if we sneeze or if we cough or something, we'll say sorry. That is inbuilt here. शुरू से ही हमारे दिमाग में डाला हुआ है. पर जब actually कोई mistake करते हैं, then why should I take it? वहाँ पर वो ego आ जाती है. I should not say sorry. I am correct. Even if I am incorrect, तो ठीक है ना, वो क्या? Why should I be? Why should I apologize for that? This is what problem that we are facing. And so the next
so the
point,
next point,
as a social skill, another point which is very important is respect for others. Because we have to live in diversity in terms of gender, age, socioeconomic background, educational level. This word respect is again very important. Even if the person is not of an equal level to me, not as educated as me, but he is of a senior age or she is of a senior age, it's my responsibility to respect that person. Is that also a social skill?
Respect is the most important social skill. You know, ultimately, if we cannot show respect to our parents, we cannot show respect to our elders, we cannot show respect to our teachers. That means we are we are in a mold, and we have already fixed that mold, and we cannot change. I would still say respect would come only when teachers are insisting that you have to learn one thing is respect. Everything is connected with patience, one, flexibility, two, and we need to tell them saying sorry is not at all, it is a victory. Because after some time, पहले तो बहुत शोर में मैं बोलूंगा, उससे तो मैंने सॉरी बुलवा के छोड़ा है. But the fact is that he or she is the winner, the one who says sorry. In fact, you can also say sorry and say, okay yaar, मेरे गले से बला उतरी.
Correct. Correct.
That could also be. In fact, people can say sorry and still use an occasion to make yourself or to clarify yourself what you meant and what others. But there is no alternative to showing respect to your parents and teachers. If a student cannot respect a teacher, parents and teachers are two persons in life. Whenever you're going up in life, your friends would be J of you. Your siblings could be J of you. Only two persons, your parents and your teachers, would be always proud of you, nobody else. So please tell every student, I'm also requesting every student, make sure that you never insult a teacher and insult your parents. We treat our parents badly, what we get in return? You send them to old age homes, they'll send you to old age home when your turn comes. A teacher can take, but I tell you, teacher, in fact, need to keep in mind that I have to train my students in such a way that they need to change. So for that, teacher has to have knowledge, confidence, and third part is effective communication is very important. For that, I would say you need to be a teacher by choice. Teachers by accident should leave this profession because there was nothing else for me. I became a teacher. No, you are a teacher by choice, and you have to keep yourself abreast with the latest so that a student should not be teaching me things. I have to tell you, the student, but we can tell in terms of technology, in terms of other things. We always take their help as to how to use your cell phone more effectively because they are the one who are using. हमारे पास तो सिर्फ ये है ईमेल रिसीव कर ली भेज दिया and then we are running our Facebook or at the most Twitter. Some people would still say Instagram. I'm simply saying our job is to basically convey our message, but our job is also to train our students, and student would respect you for your knowledge, student would also respect you for your communication skills.
For
That's
both
it's
knowledge.
give and take. It is never one-way traffic.
Both communication skills and knowledge are important for any teacher. And as you said, we need to be passionate. Otherwise, this job is not for us. And
Great.
for just in case of the word apology or sorry, It's correct, sir, that it's always wise to say sorry, at least to have the complete situation under control, or to manage the complete situation at least momentarily, and later on we can talk to that person that here you were wrong, and that time maybe later on the other person would be willing to listen to us also when
Uh,
he has an open mind.
if I'm able to make one point, you know, if we can, when we force a student to say sorry now, in fact, bringing down temperature to the room level, thaw in temperature is very important. Make him or her understand as to what is the point, and then we quietly, very politely tell this sorry is important, and we would see to it that during one of these days we'll make the person see the reason, and we can tell the person he was wrong. But right now, to diffuse the situation, an apology is important. That is conflict, problem solving, and conflict. I would not say management, it is resolving the conflict. Resolving is again with the teacher, again with the principal who is in chair, who would make sure that you are not actually forcing us to. Forcing an apology is not a very good point. Please.
This is a difference in a teacher and a student. The teacher can so nicely control the complete situation, making the student understand also, because the teacher has a rich experience of already catering to so many students, and have been through so many situations wherein the students may have been wrong also. Dr. Indu, the next question for you. You can hear us now?
You can hear us now? Yes, yes, very
The
much.
next question for you,
The
how
next question
important
for
is
you,
it
how
to
important is
accept
it
criticism?
to
Because
accept criticism?
normally we
Because
become very defensive,
normally we become very
and we
defensive,
refuse to
and
accept
we
the feedback
refuse
or
to
the
accept the
criticism.
feedback or the
How important
criticism.
is it?
How important is it? One of the most important points is to accept the constructive criticism coming your way, be it any level you are at, any stage of life you are at. Because accepting the and prior to accepting the criticism, I feel you have to again have you have to have listening skills there to first listen to your constructive criticism. That's the first step towards it. Then when you are listening to it, then the stage comes wherein you are either accepting or maybe feeling like it is something which is not very relevant or may not be so to say required. That's what the second stage would be. But constructive criticism, as I go in my own organization here, because we when we deal with students, we are working a lot as with the students in group projects. So they work a lot with assignments and a lot of group projects. And there, I think the earlier points also which we have discussed up till now, like being assertive also, or being aggressive also, or how to be flexible also, or how to be cooperative also with your teammates, with your batchmates, all those pointers somehow creep into the picture as a whole taken together. So what we do here is that we make the students, when they are forming their groups, we generally leave it to the students so that there is no hassle at a later point that you had forced us to make the groups with certain set of students.
Hmm.
So we make the students write the key points that they feel about themselves in terms of what skill set do they have, in terms of what strengths they do have, and in terms of what weaknesses probably they feel that they do have. So once they have a very clear picture of that, then they probably start forming their groups with like-minded people and with people whom they can easily work along with and get along well with. So when they're working in group projects, most of the times what happens, if the project turns out to be very nice, everyone would feel to take the credit out there. Okay, this is my work. In case
Correct.
the project is really not doing well, So maybe the faculty or the teacher would not know in depth that, which member of the group was at fault or probably not contributing that much to the group. So in that scenario, when it comes to criticism, accepting criticism as a team altogether, it becomes very, very challenging there. So we do make the students understand, and there's a step-by-step process that yes, the criticism that is, and we generally do not call it criticism also. We generally say that that's a very workable feedback that we are giving you as jury panels, because that keeps happening with us. We keep conducting juries. So a feedback that we are giving it to you, so that your work becomes very, very quality level. So when you're going to the industry, you're more accepted by the industry, you're more easily accepted by the industry. So feedback, saying it as feedback is one thing which we do here. So they do not have this word of criticism, because somehow the word criticism in itself is not used in a very nice connotation, or the interpretation may not be that nice. So that is one thing. And when you're getting a feedback, as I call it, so you are learning about what shortfall is there, what loophole is there. Again, the goal has to be very, very clearly conveyed to them, that the goal is that you're getting quality. Even if you get, say, 5 cycles of redoing your work, which the students feel really bad about at times. Why are we being asked to redo certain things which we have done with so much of effort? So, but then the goal is to make them understand that that is important. And accepting the criticism or the feedback, as I said, is very important, just to make your work very, very quality level. So we give them very concrete, crisp, clear pointers out there in terms of feedback, a written feedback for everything. So they are also very clear when they step out of the room or the classroom, that what is the next step that they need to take, what are the pointers that they need to work upon. So when the picture is very clear in their mind, they can take an action also easily. And generally what I have seen, I have observed, I think 2 cycles of redo at times is required, and we really do not feel that a third cycle is required, because a clear feedback is given to them.
So now what I could gather from this, yes, I'll just continue on these points only. The first point, as Dr. Indu just mentioned, teamwork. Normally, even when we give projects or presentation topics to the students and we tell them that they have to work in a group, they are so apprehensive, they are so inquisitive to know who the other team member is, because they want to choose the other team member in their team, because they feel उसमें तो काम करना ही नहीं है, सारा काम मेरे को ही करना पड़ेगा. This is normally the answer of the students. Now you have been a journalist, so you must be having camera persons with you. You being if you've been reporting some news. So once we are in a professional life, we do not have the autonomy to choose our team members. We are supposed to work with them, and that's it. So, so this is what I want to ask you, and whatever you wanted to share.
There are 3 points. One point you have given me. The points are very clear. First, we must agree to disagree.
Correct.
If it is all praise all the time, there is no development. Then we are agreeing. Everybody, अगर मैं भक्त हूँ तो मैं भक्त रहूंगा, मुझे पता ही नहीं लगेगा कि डेवलपमेंट कहाँ हो रही है. One. Second, ma'am used a very interesting word. She said, किससे घबराते हैं? Criticism से. The word here is critical acclaim. Give them good points, and still tell them these are the areas which we need. When we give them to do something, I mean rework your subheads and other things, tell them it's interesting, it's important for your development, and that is where they would learn more, because you are not being neglected, you are being asked to rework. That is what research is. Research today actually is cut and paste, but research is, you have worked on something, You need to rework to come to new conclusion, to come to new points. And once you do that, that is where you could. The third one, you actually can you repeat the question, please? Because there was a very valid point in that question.
So
It,
yeah, these because whenever we are working in a team, and you have worked as a journalist also, so do we have the autonomy to select our team members?
the third point is, please tell the students you can't keep a good man down. If you are good, your brilliance would always be known to the teacher. Allow others, allow others. I'll give you just one example. There was a wonderful story, wonderful news peg which was given to me by a senior whom I respected. When I wrote my report, when I wrote that colorful feature on a man who was forgotten, I used byline by such and such first, then Avinash Singh, joint byline. He said, I have not contributed. But the fact is, 40 years after that episode, he still remembers, and he has written in his book that Avinash made it a point to give me credit. I had only given the lead. He traveled, he met that particular person, but I wanted to give credit because this story actually changed my career from a sports reporter to a political journalist. He did not take the credit. He kept on telling it was Avinash's report, and that is what is their students need to be told, that if somebody is weaker or somebody is a shirker, you make the shirker get interested, make him work. Teachers can also do. Give them repeated pep talks so that they can also come up. You tell the brilliant, outstanding student, not outstanding like me outside the class, students whom you actually know, tell them, let this be a chance for others to take the accolades. That is when the turning point will come. Because we have been negating, we have this notion in mind, this particular girl would never work. We can make that particular student work by little bit of prodding, little bit of praise here and there, and actually making them take interest in the subject. It could be subject of their choice, and then making them work and still polishing and giving them the credit. It should happen. The change is possible.
You made a complete comparison of a situation wherein you are thankful to a senior of yours of at least giving you the lead, and that, as you mentioned, that completely changed your career from being a sports editor to a political journalist. You are trying to give it the credit, and the senior is probably not even accepting the credit. So this shows the humility of both of you. And coming to the second situation, wherein nowadays we have seen so many seniors of us taking the complete credit of the complete work that we have done, even if it's writing the complete book after the conference or something, and the seniors taking the complete credit for that. And the third situation, wherein the students are just not willing to have a particular person in the team who they feel that would not be working and contributing the same as the student would be, the main student would be. So these are three completely different situations which teach us a lot how to have social skills. Hanji ji.
Before we pass it on to Dr. InduGupta, I'll just say three basic things. You need to be worldly wise, you need to be street smart, you need to be working smart. Work smart in the sense, I do the work, I know how to take credit. My teacher should know if I'm working, my boss should know. And still, if your immediate in charge or immediate boss is taking credit, your senior, your head of the department, your director must know who is doing what. So I'm repeating the three words which are there for every student. You need to be wordly wise. अब अंग्रेजी कहाँ बोलते हैं? जब रिक्शा वाले से बात कर रहे होते हैं। एक्सेंट कहाँ मारते हैं? जिसको हमारी बात नहीं समझ आएगी. So I'm saying you need to be wordly wise, street smart, and work smart. I think you could be successful.
I think these three are the words that are the crux of the complete conversation that we've had. And the examples that you have given, kahan par accent kya use karna hai, we are actually not even sure. We do not know where to speak what. So, I mean, such big knowledge that you have shared with us today. Dr. InduGupta will come to the conclusion of the complete talk show. Whatever leadership that we have left as a social skill that you see in the students we are lacking, and what you expect them to learn.
I am sorry once again. I again lost you for a second. So if you can repeat that.
Okay, we are coming to the crux of the we are coming to the crux of the talk show. What do you think the generation or the youth are lacking as social skills? Apart from that, whatever we have talked about today.
Definitely. That's a very interesting one. And yes, would sum up probably the entire session. So I feel the root cause why we are observing the situation that is there around us somehow starts when the child is very, very young. I would say the child is 4 5 years of age when they start having memories out there when they become as an adult. So at that very tender age, at that young age, the kind of situation, the kind of circumstances that the child is surrounded by, it plays a very, very major role in developing the social skills which the child would eventually have as an adult. I found this very interesting thing happening at my daughter's school when she was very, very young and she started with her formal education. So when our times we used to have a introduction of ourselves, we used to always say, okay, my name is this and this, I live here and I study in this school and things like that, 5 sentences about ourselves. And my daughter had at her school 2 more lines added to this introduction, which I felt very, very fascinating. So after doing the basic introduction with name, class, residence, and all that, 2 more lines which said that I am the most beautiful girl in the world. And the next one said, I'm the best. And actually the school asked us, the parents, that you should ask your child to memorize these lines and keep practicing these lines pretty frequently, maybe on an everyday basis in the front of the mirror. We as parents were like, oh my god, what is happening? Why this thing? But then what I feel now, when my daughter is 14 today, the kind of person that she's become with those 2 lines there, she is confident. I would say may not be very conventionally good looking, so to say, because that is the concept that the society drives into your mind at this changing age. But then since she's very, very confident of herself, so her social interactions somehow reflect those things, the confidence that she has, that she can take up any kind of challenge there.
So that means that
Yes. So that is what contributes to as a young child, what you're learning, that contributes a lot to what you become as an adult. So I felt that very fascinating, and till today I keep telling that, relating to that incident to my students also. You face a challenge, please repeat this thing that, okay, I can do that. Say it 50 times, write it down 50 times, because first thing is that you need to train your mind, tell your mind that this is possible. Then find out ways to work.
Yeah, we need to have social skills of respecting others. At the same time, we should know how to respect ourselves. We should have self-belief as well, that yes, I am the best. Till the time I have faith in myself, how can I have faith or trust in the other person? So I think that would bring us to the conclusion of the complete talk show. I'm really sure that the audience must have learned so much from Professor Avinash and Dr. Indu today. We have audience with us, very good aspects to make a child confident, independent, from Kamaldeep ji from USA. Yes, sir, coming to you. You would like to add something? You need to unmute yourself.
Only two lines.
Please,
What we learn from our parents, we do that, and that's very important to actually condition today's parents. We are driving a vehicle, and हम जितनी गालियां हैं वो देते हैं, वही हमारा बच्चा करता है. You know, parents which are using invective and cuss words are actually teaching their kids to do that. So that is the early education that, as Dr. InduGupta said, is very, very important, which you get at home, which you get at preschool. Those are the important points which we need to. Thank you for giving me time. It was, we had said everything, but this one point was important. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for adding this point because you are correct, sir. The parents are the role models for their children. Whatever the parents do, the children immediately imitate that because that the family, the parents are the first people from whom we, sanskar or the values are built. हमारे सारे संस्कार comes from our immediate family also. We immediately imitate, we immediately do whatever our parents are doing. So we being parent or a teacher, it becomes our responsibility that what we expect from the other person, we should behave in the same manner. Correct, totally correct. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Thank you, Dr. Indu, for joining us today. I'm really sure that everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Happy
Thank you so
birthday
much.
again to you.
Happy birthday again to you.
So this is what we learned today from very senior Professor Avinash, who has been a Vice Chancellor of University. Apart from that, he's been a journalist also and a political analyst also. He has a rich experience of working with so many people in different fields. As he mentioned that he's been Hindu sometimes for almost 2 decades. And as a sports reporter, he has worked with Tribune as well. He's a writer, he's an author, and still what we could see today, he is so humble. At the same time, Dr. InduGupta, she is the center manager managing the complete JD Institute of Fashion Technology in Delhi and having such a big team of teachers. Thank you, Ms. Gupta, for joining us as audience. I'm very sure that you must have learned a lot today. And so she's managing a big team of faculty, of staff and students. And still we got to learn so much from her because the practical experiences that she shared with the youth of today, they are very important for us to learn and behave in future. Thank you, the audience, for joining with us today. And I would like to share with you all that we are coming up with a photography competition. Go ahead and participate in that. We'll just put the registration form link here. There is no registration fee, and you would be given acknowledgements once if your pictures are selected, and we will be sharing the pictures with the audience as well. Thank you for joining us today, and looking forward to meet you all day after tomorrow on 17th of August with the topic, with the theme spiritual development. We would be talking about becoming conscious and aware about ourselves, about our inner self, and this would be at 6 p.m. And apart from that, we have invited as a panelist 2 people. One is Dr. Mannerism. He's a spiritual scientist, and another Shivangi Sharma from Netherlands, who will be joining us to talk about spiritual development. Don't forget to log in at 6 p.m. day after tomorrow and at 6:50 p.m. to be here with us and talk to these very worthy panelists on the theme. And remember, friends, this is the last day of the complete lecture series of 5 days that we had. I'm really sure that you all have enjoyed. We've already put the questionnaire link in the comment section. Go ahead and just try to solve the total questions. Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye. Be safe. Sat Shri Akal.